2 from Cadwell Park, race number 2B from Cadwell Park, and on pole position Callum Edwards from Matt Robinson. Scott Leach and Stephen Craggs are the second row of the grid, with Killer Kinghorn 5th and the Bishop Paul in 6th. Chris Hart, who we saw spinning earlier, is 7th, with Paul Yeomans in 8th. Paul Tucker and Richard Collins are 9 and 10, with Simon Woods and Clive Pills 11th and 12th. 13th for Ian Prescott and 14th for John Hughes. William Phillips is 15th, Tony Liversidge in 16th, and Yuri Horolet in 17th place and last in our grid. Now here we go, we're under starters orders again. There has been more rain at Cadwell Park. The rescue unit rolls into place. Let's see who gets a good jump down towards the first corner. Is it going to be Edwards or is it going to be Robinson? And away they go. There's all sorts of shenanigans mid-pack. There's cars up in the air. There's cars touching each other. And good grief, that was extremely close. Car number 5 thrust away up into the air and managing just to hold that. Richard Collins will be having a big sigh of relief after getting through there. John Killer Kinghorn looks over his shoulder to see who's alongside him as he has a little bit of opposite lock correction there, but that got a little bit lively. That's MX-5 racing as we're on board still with John Kinghorn going through, just catching a lovely little slide there. John checking his mirrors, and we can see your mirror for you, John. You don't want to look behind you, you keep looking forward, mate, because here come the pursuing pack as you get a face full of spray as you come up to the top of the park straight. And it is Robinson who leads the way from 1, 2, 3 Callum Edwards. And there's that lovely big tongue wrapping around the front of the car there, and everybody comes through. Hart, Chris Hart in all sorts of trouble there. Was there a little bit of contact? Oh, there's somebody in all sorts of shapes and sizes further down there. Thankfully, I think that was Mr. Yeomans just catching that one. Yes, it was Paul Yeomans in the black 26 there. So, commentator, just settle down, draw breath for a minute, because it's a long race. And the guys in race 2B are certainly putting it on the line just now. Car 38 pushing through our shot. Killer Kinghorn. Thankfully, the last time we got a good bit of TV time with John was Rockingham, and the back bumper was hanging off that car, and he had to get pulled into the pits, and it was removed forcibly. 47 Stephen Craggs as he goes over the crest of the mountain. So Killer Kinghorn, John Kinghorn, as they come up towards Hall Bends now. Through they come, just nice and smooth, just softly, gently, quietly, John. Don't do anything crazy. We've got a man all over the back of you, but we're having a good fight here. Here comes Chris Hart back into the action as well. Chris Hart is meaning business. He fancies a little bit of this. Pretty wide looking to the wet weather line through the last corner there, but here we come across the racing, across the start finish line. We have, the leaders are already away. Robinson still leading from Edwards. John Kinghorn coming under more pressure now from 47. Stephen Craggs comes towards Focus, back on board with John Kinghorn to see his style compared to Alex Preston. Who comes here? Down a gear mid-corner for John there. Lucky the back didn't step out of him, and he comes up towards Charlie's corner. He looks at the inside there, but it's just not to be for John. Scott Leach there with the big tongue, but Leachy doing the traditional wet weather line right round the outside, high, wide and handsome, and you have to say it looked pretty good from where we were sitting in John Kinghorn's car. But look at this, Kinghorn's under all sorts of pressure now. He's trying to defend and squeeze, and John Kinghorn holds off Stephen Craggs. Good bit of driving there for Kinghorn. He was thinking about the inside there, was number 47 Stephen Craggs, but John Killer Kinghorn says, not today, my son, not my first time here. As we come in towards us, I'll quick glance in the mirror as he comes to the top of the gooseneck. Was that a bit of contact? Did Craggs get in the back of him? I think he did. Little nudge in the back corner of John Killer Kinghorn. Kinghorn holds it all together. Brilliant bit of car control as he goes over the grass there. Well, you don't want to get him angry, it just makes him faster and madder. Number 38, that's John Kinghorn. He's now with Chris Hart. His heart will be in his mouth after seeing that. He didn't know where John Kinghorn was going to go. Once you get on the grass when it's wet, we said you could be a passenger until you hit something. Thankfully, John Kinghorn didn't come into contact with anything there. And he managed to hold that together, but he will be an angry man. Look at this, so Leach is now under all sorts of pressure from Craggs as they go through Hall Bends, and Leach does the sensible thing. Scott Leach backs out of the position and gives it to Craggs to come through the Hall Bends, because there's just not enough room for two cars to go through there side by side. Not enough room for two motorbikes to go through there side by side, never two MX-5s. Scott Leach hangs the back of that car out as he comes through the barn area. Number 38, John Kinghorn, who's given us some fantastic onboard footage from this race. Comes down and crosses the line. John currently in 6th place. Yes, 6th place as he crosses the line just now. This will be a bit of a result for John. Further back in towards the back. There's the number 5 car of Richard Collins, which was airborne on the start line when it climbed up the side of somebody else. It was all kicking off, shall we say, as they go through coppice together. They're very tight. It was all kicking off in the start line. And yeah, Richard Collins got airborne, but there go your 2 leaders. There goes Mark Robinson and Callum Edwards. Then a big gap back to Stephen Craggs, who's already gapped Scott Leach in turn, who've got away from the recovering John Kinghorn. Now up the inside comes Chris Hart. Kinghorn gives him the corner. Is he going to manage to fight back on the way towards the gooseneck? No, John just tucks into the back of that number 22 car. I think that battle's going to run on and on. We are guaranteed with that. John Kinghorn won't let that go away. 17 is William Phillips. So William having a spin earlier on and also a loose exhaust, so hopefully that has been reclamped and attached to the car. 68 goes through. That's Paul Tucker. The red car with the yellow stripe again. We've not really seen much of Paul since Rockingham round 1 at Corby. So Paul Tucker, bit of TV time, chased hard by Richard Collins. The lovely Union Jack, the national flag, on the bonnet of that MX-5. Keep our eyes on this battle as they come through. Just snaking the cars lovely through this area. A little bit of damage on the side of the number 5 car as well. That was up in that start line incident. This looks like 3 cars are all trying to go for this one gap, and unfortunately Richard Collins was in the middle, so his car is naturally going to try and climb up the car which is on either side of him. Did the tyres try to climb up, and thankfully no damage to the suspension because it did come down pretty heavily. And thankfully nobody's speeding off towards the barriers as well. It's not a place you want to be missing. Park on the start-finish straight there. Down through the park section, still a fair bit of water hanging in the air there, you've got to say that. There's still a fair bit of spray coming up there from Robinson and Edwards. And Edwards holding him pretty well here, keeping Matt Robinson fairly honest. And Matt had a pretty good outing at Croft actually. He was there or thereabouts all the time at Croft, giving us some fairly entertaining driving from what we can remember as we go back into the pack now. Number 26 coming towards us, 28 coming towards us, but look at that, Phillips has got all sorts of issues from Tucker. Tucker up the inside of him, not to be, he runs a little bit wide in the corner. Collins capitalises and takes a position. Just the red mist in front of Paul Tucker, the red Mazda's now in front of Paul Tucker. Round towards the gooseneck they go, and further on towards the bottom of the mountain. Just listen to the cars going through the Yeomans, defending a little bit heavily now. Number 26 car, because he has got some sort of incoming problem, and it's William Phillips, it's Richard Collins, it's Paul Tucker. The list just keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger. A huge sideways slide. Oh, there's contact and round he goes. Spin for Paul Yeomans. Helped a little bit there by William Phillips, but unfortunately for Paul Yeomans, he was that sideways in the corner before. His actual overall speed was so slow that Phillips just got into the back of a mid-haul Benz there. If there was any way Phillips could have avoided that, because he would have been rear-ended from the cars behind him. Such was the lack of speed from Paul Yeomans after his big slide. So unfortunate for Yeomans. A spin as we pick back up with Scott Leach, and he's got Chris Hart coming in pretty quickly. And in turn, John Killer Kinghorn's going to have to watch out, because that's the Bishop, Paul Bishop, who's very sideways there as we come on towards the gooseneck. So John Kinghorn's going to have to watch out for Paul Bishop, making advances in his direction towards the end of this race. Just going through the halfway point as we come down towards Mansfield just now. Good bit of exit curve getting used by the number 44 car. You can see how rough the rumble strip was here. The car wheels vibrated up and towards the inner wheel arch. Through the mountain now, through the left, through the right for John Killer Kinghorn, up over the crest of the hill. You can still see Chris Hart ahead of him, so that's going to be giving him a good encouragement along. He's not getting dropped off too heavily. So we have a quick look towards lap times, a quick scan of the computer next to us. The fastest lap of the race so far has been done by Callum Edwards, actually. In fact, no, it's not completely wrong commentator there. It's been done by Matt Robinson so far in the race. So the fastest lap of the race, but that still plenty of time for that to change as John Kinghorn comes onto the main straight and clicks off another lap here. And that's a flag being made ready by the marshals here. Now, did you see that? Yes, I saw that. That looked like that could have been the driver warning flag. We'll have to keep our eyes on that next lap round as these guys go through Coppice. Now through Charlie's and on towards the Park straight before heading up to Park Corner at the top there now. Incoming, here comes Bishop. Kinghorn's going to have to be defensive here. He's going to have to be good and smart, because up the inside comes Paul Bishop, but he's just thinking about it. He's just showing John Kinghorn that he is there. And one mistake, John, and your place is mine. Having said that, Paul Bishop a little bit lively in the old loud pedal as he come out of Park Corner there and has the car dancing a merry dance as he goes on towards the gooseneck. Manages to hold that, but I think he was dialing for his mates on the steering wheel there as he headed away down towards Mansfield. Nice run round the outside line. John Kinghorn has been watching this wet weather racing, hasn't he? He's got his technique down now. Back up towards Callum Edwards at the front in the number 123 car. Beautifully prepared car. They love the paint job on that car. He chases down this man, Matt Robinson, as Matt comes through Barn Corner. We're off to click off another lap, but let's see if there's any marshals flags on the main straight this time of asking. There was the commentator getting a little bit excited and carried away with himself. No, I was right, there we go. For once I was right, the driver warning flag comes out. The black flag with the white diagonal section. Driver warning flag. You're being watched by the clerk of the course. You have been a little bit too aggressive now. I wonder if that's for William Phillips for what would possibly be seen as avoidable contact when he tagged Paul Yeomans. We can't see the number from here. We're waiting the message coming up on our screen, but it could be for avoidable contact. Anything else, and yeah, that was getting that flag. We'll be getting a big slap on this and go in with a black flag. But we pick back up with the leaders at Park Corner. Robinson goes through. Callum Edwards comes through. Wiper still on pretty much full thing, full swing. Marshall standing at the side with their hoods up. That's never the best thing to see. So what could have been a glorious day started off pretty well, but the weather has kind of closed in a little bit, isn't it? It keeps threatening to be nice as we now go on board with John Kinghorn coming in towards Park. He turns in, gets the car turned in a little bit lively. The exit there, beautifully well held drift. That's Chris Hart just ahead of us, and if you look in John's mirror you can see the car. Whoa, well held John. That's Paul Bishop just behind him, and the Bishop, well, he'll have seen John going sideways there, and he'll maybe just be thinking, oh, we don't fancy getting too much involved in that. But Kinghorn's only got eyes for one thing, and that's Hart ahead of him as he comes over the crest of the gooseneck and down towards Mansfield. Let's watch the line through here for these drivers. It's pretty much routine stuff. Still got rain on our camera lens. In towards the bottom of the mountain now. Is Chris Hart getting closed in? Is John Kinghorn actually catching Chris Hart? I think he may be. I think John Kinghorn is putting on a charge towards the end of this race here. And all things going well, he could be arriving right with Chris Hart, where Chris Hart doesn't want that to really happen. Right towards the end of the race, just where you're not wanting pressure on a damp, slippy Cadwell Park in June. Enter John Kinghorn. No, thank you, sir. So Scott Leach, Chris Hart, John Kinghorn come through. Possibly the neatest of them all, you'd have to say, would be the Bishop at the back. Paul Bishop, extremely neat as he come through there. And on we go towards. On we go to click off another lap. The flag's been withdrawn for the marshals. It's been held out for one lap. The driver will have seen that. And we've taken note of that as we come in towards first corner. Back on board with Killer Kinghorn here. Just listening away to the revs in that car. Yep, through we come. John seemingly at one with this MX-5 just now, thankfully. Takes a big sigh of relief. Intake of breath as he gets through there. Builds up the Dutch courage for heading up towards the top of Park. Flat out in this MX-5. Here comes Leachy with the big tongue on the front. Then it's Hart. Then it's Kinghorn again. Bishop in the background. Are we going to stay long enough to see the next battle come into view? Which should be William Phillips, Richard Collins. We see them coming in. There's Phillips. There's Collins. Yes, the next car into shot should be John Hughes. It's not. It's actually Yuri Lex. So Yuri's come from the very back row of the grid, and he's got himself all the way up to 10th place. So kudos a good drive through the field in an MX-5. Not the easiest of classes to get through. Such are the closest of all these cars. But look at this man, displaying his talent, showing us that he is not short of car control. Matt Robinson into the barn section, gets on the accelerator pedal, trying not to go sideways, I would like to tell you, ladies and gentlemen. However, it's very difficult, one of these cars, rear wheel drive, not the greatest amount of grip, and you've got to be quite aggressive. Otherwise, if you're not aggressive enough, Callum Edwards is going to gobble up your lead and he's going to be right on you. But he crosses a line and he flicks off another lap. You can see the cars going the other way towards the mountain section there. See how close the track is. There's a little cut through, so you can have a Cadwell Park without the mountain section. But that's like, oh, Chris Hart's on the grass, unfortunately. Chris Hart on the grass, and Kinghorn's going to have him. Kinghorn, killer Kinghorn up the inside. Is there going to be a bit of retribution? Is Kinghorn going to have a little bit of a go as they're going towards Coppice? Remember what happened at the top of the gooseneck. It's all flooding back to John Kinghorn now. And Chris Hart will want to get a right good wriggle on and get away from that. As we pick up with Stephen Craggs, who we haven't seen since the first opening laps of this race. He's currently circulating in a very fine third place. But there goes your leader, Robinson. Chased hard by Callum Edwards. Callum not giving him anything in this race whatsoever. Wait for these guys bursting into view at the gooseneck. Top of the gooseneck, here we come. There's Robinson. Halfway downhill, apply the brakes smoothly, get heavier as you get towards the corner and get through Mansfield. Big sigh of relief for him. Through Mansfield, accelerating towards the mountain. Use a little bit of the grass if that's your thing. It is for Matt Robinson. And he now comes in towards the mountain section. Little left, just kisses the curb. Doesn't want to upset the car too much because you've got an immediate right straight after that. And if you upset the car there, you're then going to be slow over the mountain before you head in towards Hall Bends. Just watching the car come through there in the background as well. Callum is hanging in pretty well here. Number 69, Matt Robinson. 1.8 seconds ahead just now, so that gap has stayed constant for most of the race. It just drops a wheel off there, and that's going to hurt Callum Edwards that little bit. Just drop a little bit of wheel off. It's going to limit you getting on the power even more. Then you're going to try hard at the next corner, but it's not to be for him there just now. Looked like he was almost going to run a bit wide, but there goes Robinson across the line again. Extends his lead. It's now up to 2.1 seconds in that lap, and that must have been because of that little mistake going through the barn section for Callum Edwards. But we pick back up with Paul Bishop, who's still chasing down, still chasing John Killer Kinghorn. And Chris Hart has luckily survived that grassy moment where we are just now in the previous lap, and he's got away from John Kinghorn. But he'll still have to run away from John Kinghorn in the panic as well. Kinghorn has a good run through that corner there. Now, was that because Hart had a bad exit from barn? Not too sure about that one. Not too sure. We'll have to maybe look at that one later on. But here at the top of Park Straight, coming through Park Corner, there is Matt Robinson in the number 69 Mazda MX-5. This BRSCC Mazda MX-5 Championship, we have got so many entries, we have to run so many races, which is very, very healthy. These times as we come through Mansfield, doesn't decide to use the grass this time, which is possibly for the benefit of his run time as he heads along towards the mountain. Oh, 142's on the grass. It's Tony Liversedge. Oh, Tony, what have you done? What have you done? That looks like it's right at the bottom of the mountain. And Tony looks like he's yet. You jump up and down all you want, Tony. That's not really going to help things. Not going on the grass would have helped that, but unfortunate for Tony. 142 Liversedge is, looks like he's bogged there as the leaders are coming through Hall Bends. The rain starting to fall. We can hear it on the camera now, on the microphone of the camera. As out of Barn Corner, or into Barn Corner we should say, comes Matt Robinson. And it's been a pretty much textbook drive, hasn't it? He hasn't really put a foot wrong as he accelerates out, heads towards the finish line, and the nice held checkered flag, the sight you want to see. Matt Robinson wins from Callum Edwards. A very, very good drive there from Matt Robinson. Third place, 47, Stephen Craggs. Well, the checkered flag is wrapped up for him, but Stephen Cragg takes that one and he will be happy with that. A little bit of contact with Killer Kinghorn earlier on, but rubbing is sometimes racing, although it's a non-contact sport, so you can make of that what you like. So there's your winner, number 69, Matt Robinson. Commanding victory. Thumbs up towards the marshals who are standing out in some of the horrible, horrible conditions. But good to see our Orange Army giving them a good wave back. Edwards will be happy with that second place, and Stephen Craggs rounding out the podium there. Fourth place for Scott Leach, and Chris Hart and John Killer Kinghorn comes home in sixth place. That's a good result for Kinghorn. You'll be happy with that one. I can see you smiling, John. Seventh place for Paul Bishop, William Phillips, Richard Collins survives his first lap, and Yuri Holoarek comes home for 10th place.